Right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda?
So we got a motion by Amanda. Seconded by Derek. All in favor? Oh, you in or out?
In,
All right.
yes.
5-0, Amy. Now we just need a motion for the consent agenda. Just remember, if you need to abstain from anything or if you got questions about anything, now it's time to pull it up and talk about it.
I have one question, Craig. It was 50116. What's music?
Jury Uniform School Insurance.
Okay, that makes sense then.
It is.
I didn't think we needed that high of a band budget. That's 111,000. That just kind of.
That is our yearly annual liability insurance.
Okay, that makes sense then.
And it did go up quite a bit. I think when I first came here in 2017, it's about $78,000. You're seeing an increase there. And it's an increase I was going to show you when we did some budget amendments coming in the new year. You see it now. Insurance has gone up, and you're seeing that increase. So it's a good point.
Bo, you got any questions or anything? Concerns?
No, I don't. I was gonna move to approve the consent agenda.
All right, so we got a motion by Bo. Seconded by Kelly. All in favor? I'm assuming your hand's up, Bo.
Yeah, yes.
5-0, Amy. Moving on, we got recognition.
We run a contest every year, and this year it went over to Mrs. Fisher, kind of run it back and forth between elementary and high school. And I always like this because it comes, it's student made from the minds of our student body and showing some of their work. So we had several submissions, and you guys voted on those. Mrs. Fisher's graphic art yearbook class. Our winner of our Christmas card that will go out to everyone is by Sam Duke, and we're presenting him with a $50 check. And he gets his picture in the paper. So we're going to take him over by the Christmas. Good job, sir. There was a blind card voting, so we didn't know it was Sam until, it was Sam.
So moving right along, we're into our strategic planning. Is there an assessment program, our scores, our 3-year goals, CSIP? Have at it.
We have our goal there as part of our comprehensive school improvement plan. It's got a 3-year goal. We want all of our tested grade levels to score at or above the state average, proficient or advanced on English, language arts, and math state assessments. But as we look at it more, we're probably going to modify that goal a little bit, just make it all of them. So how do we get there? How do we get there? Because that seems to be the most difficult piece of this new Missouri school improvement plan is to how do you move students on a test that you really don't get to see, that you have to buy some preparation materials from another vendor that isn't the same vendor, and you're trying to get the things aligned to help kids progress and grow. We have growth in our school district. We definitely do. But the way you do that is you have strong administrators that are giving teachers and standing beside them and giving them support so that they can focus on that target and help our kids show up well on those state assessments because we're being graded. So Mrs. Pettigrew, Mr. Culpepper are going to talk a little bit about some of those action steps that are built into that goal, because you can have all the goals in the world, but if you don't have any action steps, you're just throwing goals out there with no action, which everybody knows that doesn't work. Pettigrew,
Yep. So just to start, to highlight some of the elementary scores, we have 7 different subjects and grade levels that take tests in grades 3, 4, and 5. Fifth grade is tested in ELA, math, and science. So they take 3. Everyone else takes the 2 subjects, math and ELA. And of those 7, we had 5 nearing or at the state average. When you're looking at the percentages and the differences, each student is representing about 2 to 3%. So one kid can change the percentage pretty quickly. When we look at we have advanced proficient is where we want to be. Basic is our biggest group of kids right now. And then just to note, our below basic kids, we've outscored the state average in that area by 9 to 16% in all subjects. So our red is very, very low in comparison to what the rest of the state is scoring. So that's a good point. We have implemented WIN last year. We had some teacher leaders take that over. Mrs. Hurst kind of led the charge. She had seen this in other districts, but that's helping us to identify standards and put students into groups based on exactly what they need and teach them. They move between grade levels, they move between teachers, and we do about 4 cycles a year. We give them post-tests and pre-tests and make sure that they're learning and we can measure growth. We have also focused the last 2 years on classroom management. I think that's one of the essential pieces of learning is having instructional control among the grades. And I think this year has started to be one of the best years we've had. We're really noticing some good things in classes. And when students are staying in the classroom, they're definitely learning and having more instruction time. We see the continual work in PBS is also important in our building as well. We have in 4th and 5th grade, some of the other things we're doing. Both of those teachers, since we departmentalize, they are using coaches from our PDC to be math coaches for Mrs. Human and also Mrs. Clevenger. Not that they're not great at what they do, but just to continually improve and help them. And then in grades 3 through 5, we had quite a bit of grant money come from us from the state of Missouri. So we have purchased state-approved materials, instructional materials for our core pieces, and we have those in the classrooms. And I'm seeing that there's a lot more rigor in the things that they're doing. So I feel like we're heading in the right direction. Have some good teachers in front of kids, so that always helps.
Okay. In the middle school, high school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they test under MAP, just like 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade does. Our high school, we have tested areas in EOCs. Our EOC in Algebra 1 was 10% over the state average, with 53% of our kids testing advanced or proficient. So Algebra 1 was really good last year. Government was about 8% below, so it wasn't terrible. It was pretty close. But again, like Ashley talked about, that's the equivalent of only 3 kids. So it's not like 8% sounds like quite a bit, but you're only talking about 3 kids that needed to move from, basic to proficient for us to be above the state average. So I feel like our EOCs were pretty good last year. Our MAP, it's something that in our side of the building, I think that it really takes a few years because you really need consistency in your classroom. You need to have the same teacher in front of kids for more than 1 year to have success. Our math, we've started to have some consistency there. We use Evaluate in the middle school, and we also use it with our high school with Algebra 1. And that's a tool that we use that evaluates kids on their abilities to understand the standards throughout the entire year. Instead of just one test in the spring, it tests them throughout the year. Every month they take a test on this, and it kind of shows their progress. Those teachers do a great job of monitoring their progress, and it breaks it out by standard. So as they teach the standard throughout the year, they can see how many kids understand it. And looking at our current data this year, I actually just looked at our ELA from December that Ms. Jeffcoat just finished, and we had 57%, and that number grew from 51% last month. So in general, we want our kids to continue to grow until we get up to like that 70 or 80% overall, and we're well on track to getting there this year. Math is a little bit lower, but also whenever we look at the standards from Miss Ashley's class, me and her went through it the other day. She highlighted for me which standards they've actually taught this year, which ones they haven't, and the ones that they've covered already this year. The lowest percentage is 58% of the kids that understand it and show that they actually, not only understand it slightly, they're actually advanced in that area. So Majority of the standards that she's covered, they already are advanced in. So as she continues to teach those standards throughout the year, all the other ones will come up as well. They do a great job of monitoring those kids, and they break them down by kid and by class. So then once they have all those kids tested, they look at each kid and see which kids we can focus on to see which kids need to know which standard. And then we can kind of divide that out and use our AI to actually teach those standards that those kids are missing. Both those teachers, Miss Ashley and Miss Jeffcoat, just Jeffcoat's second year. So as we continue to have more consistency in the classroom with the same teacher teaching the subject, we've started to see progress, especially with Miss Ashley, over the last 2 years of scores going up. And I expect those scores to continue going up. It's something that we meet on regularly during PD, and we're really focused on making sure our math scores rise this year.
And there's a really good thing that both of them have done, and that has developed some relationships with, we don't have instructional coaches in our district. We don't have the resources to have those. So your principals are essentially the instructional leaders. So what they've done is they've developed relationships with RPDC in Columbia and RPDC in Warrensburg, and having people from the outside push in to assist us and offer those teachers some help that isn't their boss necessarily. Some people are comfortable with that, some people are not. And having that outside expert, and these are retired superintendents and instructional coaches from much larger districts. A long time ago, we brought in a couple that had worked, Gina and Linda, some of you know that from Mexico school districts, a couple of retired educators that work. They do the similar kind of work, and just having those as a resource. It's very important that your principals maintain those relationships with good outside sources that give them and bolster that instructional achievement. The one thing that I tell people is there's two schools going on when you have school. You have the school for kids and you have the school for adults. We have to have our professional learning, and the kids have to have their learning as well. So it's an important piece. I'm really pleased with what both principals have done to try to support our teachers and not just leave them to figure it out all on their own. A lot of good teamwork.
And that's also something I didn't mention that she did is all of our teachers that are teaching in tested areas, they do meet with DCI every month, and they come in and do observations in their classrooms. They're basically instructional coaches that come in and watch them teach and give them feedback just on how to improve, how to reach more kids, and just different engagement strategies to use to try and reach more kids. And they do a great job. And we've kind of laid it out to them that, these are not people that are coming in to evaluate you. These are people that are only coming in to help you. If they help you 1%, that's 1% they help you. They're giving them feedback. They're talking to us about things we can improve to help the teachers out as well. So they do a great job, and they're independent. So they come in and they can evaluate teachers and us on things we can do to improve it. And just give us a little bit of guidance on how to make the school better.
DCI is one of those pieces the state's put in place called District Continuous Improvement. So our partnership with them keeps us from being isolated from, we're just Tipton on our own. We're plugging into other resources, which I think are really helpful for us. Okay. I think that's all we need to cover there, Craig.
Any questions for anyone? No? Moving on, obviously everybody's got their reports in front of them. I would like to give, I went to the Christmas program the other night. Ashley and your crew did a great job. Mr. Maddox did a great job. I thought it was really good, nice program. But I just wanted to let you all know, I thought it was good. Enjoyed it. And moving on, does anybody have anything else? Any questions?
I did want to mention one thing there, Craig. We missed this part as we scroll down through here. Our annual performance report that started back in 2022, and when they changed to the new system, I think most of the state was used to getting up in the 90s, high 80s, all the way up to the 90s. And Tipton for a long time had a score that's kind of been pretty locked in. They redid the whole scoring guide, so then the state got turned on its head, and very few people were scoring in the 90s. And all of a sudden, almost everybody found themselves in the 70s and 80s. We started on that in 2022. The first time they laid it across our table at 70, We have moved to 79, so we've moved up almost 10 points now. And, you know, if you look at the way they award points there, you're looking at performance. We started out having 77 points, now we're at 97. You know, that whole continuous improvement piece, they grade us on that, went from 48 to 59 points. And so we're getting close to where we're maxing out the continuous improvement points, 59 out of 60. So now the only points left to get are in that performance piece. So we've got 97 out of 136. It's going up, but the percentage of points we're getting, it's going to get tougher and tougher. And that's why they're focused. We're all focused on supporting our teachers to help them have better assessment scores and looking at that growth piece. And so it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Parents aren't keeping their best kids at home. They're sending us the best kids they've got, and we've got to take them where they are and help them be better. And but I'm really glad to see, because Dr. Rob doesn't teach any classes, Jason Culpepper doesn't teach any, Miss Pettigrew doesn't, Miss Bestian doesn't, but we help the people that teach the kids, and that's our role, and that's what's important. And we're going to listen to teachers too, and when they tell us they need something to help kids be better too. So that's all I've got to say about that, but I'm really proud of the fact that we've got an upward trend going.
That's good. So back to their reports, if anybody has any questions. I don't have any questions. Just keep up the good work. We appreciate it. The tournament was a success.
Steve said it was so easy. You didn't feel like it was any work at all. It just breezed right through it.
It just takes a lot of work. Shout out to Coach Duke and his staff and the football team. Had another great year. Wanted to bring that up. And other than that, I don't have anything else. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, moving on. You got on here an open forum about the school calendar.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak about the parent of a student about 4-day week? Nobody signed up, but there's a few here, and if you'd like to speak, that's okay. Going? No?
All right, so moving on, we're going to old business. You got a couple surveys in front of you, or the results, I should say. I don't know if you want to touch on this, or if it's just like
No, it's
it's in front of you just for information.
that was there. You guys wanted a survey. We ran that. I actually thought just before Thanksgiving was a good time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. When families get together and people talk about things and gathered around the table usually, and we got we got good results. I think that's a good response rate with 142 responses. Faculty and staff one is there as well. A lot of good qualitative data where they're just kind of writing their feelings and how they view it, and also just some multiple choice type questions to also kind of bolster that whole data grab there. But I just my personal opinion, it's the community's desire. The board should reflect that desire. If it's mixed, you guys have to make a decision. You've got plenty of time to figure out what your calendar is going to be for next year. That's why we started early. My main opinion is basically that the only advantage I can see at this point is we get more certified applicants possibly here when we needed to fill positions. It's a definite draw to applicants if we end up in that piece. We've got a lot of area schools that have gone to 4-day week that are around us. But it's not a Dr. Rob decision, it's a board decision, reflecting hopefully what the community wants to do. There have been some districts that have done it and done it very well, and they seem to be very happy with it. Other districts seem to fight against it. Talk to superintendents or you talk to patrons in other districts. But my piece on this is it needs to match the expectations of our community, our way of doing things in our community. So, and I think you all reading through those, I don't think there needs to be a decision necessarily tonight unless you're wanting to make a decision. We can also have faculty and staff come in in January and have them share their points of view, which I think is important. It's up to you all.
Anybody got any preference or opinion?
I don't know who even, I guess, I just have a couple of questions more, I guess, about parents than as a school board member. Like if we were to go to a 4-day school, are we still gonna practice on Mondays and do regular activities after school? I mean,
I
are
would
you
say
still,
yes.
I guess the question is, you're still allowed to?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
These are questions that I
That's why they can leave during the day.
still couldn't utilize, like, some of that for.
Most,
Yeah, I mean,
most schools that have 4-day school week usually set some type of parameters, like depending on what they have for facilities. Some schools will say don't practice until 3. There's other schools that have like one gym like we do that would allow the first practice to start at, let's say, 2. So then it's not a late night. Maybe it's 2 to 4 and then 4 to 6. So then everybody's still home by dinner. But for the most part, you really don't do anything during the school day.
I wonder, I mean, I'm not for or against it. I'm still kind of riding the fence and listening. I guess my question would be is, and I'm going to throw the ball towards Coach Judy. Do we think, I mean, are we going to be able to, I think I'd say this exactly. Is 4-day a week going to affect participation of sports after school on the off day? I mean, you've got juniors and seniors that can drive, but what about your freshmen and sophomores that their parents aren't home yet, but yet their practice is going to be still at 3 o'clock? And I'm not saying city kids as much, but out of town kids, and I'm using that towards my advantage because I'm out of town and I know the struggle. How are we going to, if we go forward with something like that, how are we going to look at that? That's a big question in my opinion. The out of town kids. Are you concerned with something like that, Coach Duke, of attendance for practice on Monday? If something like that would happen?
Not so much concerned with it. Something that we plan for. There's times now where we give underclassmen rides, and I'm not sure how many school districts have an activity bus that still runs. Obviously, it's something that we work through. Same thing occurs when we have activities on weekends. Student athletes are still getting there, right? There's concessions that have to be made as far as timing.
You bet. This is my first year on the board, so I'm just asking for more experience than what I've got. So, I mean, that's something I worry. I don't want, little Craig Wolf to not be able to practice because he's stuck out in Cotton because he ain't got a ride in. And that's just my, I worry about that. If they want to play ball, I want to make sure they can. That's something I want to think about before.
I think the biggest concern I've heard from people in town is, we went to 10 block to 7 block. We wanted kids in the classrooms every day, and now we're wanting to take their day away. So I think that's a big concern I've heard through structural reasons.
I mean, I think it's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you scroll back up and look at the test scores that Jason and Ashley alluded to, I mean, yeah, we were up 10 points in Algebra 1, right? Ms. Genches is killing it, right? But there's a couple areas that are like, we need to improve a little bit. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I just think it's too new of an item to sit here and try to make a decision that's going to affect everyone.
I don't think we're even close to a decision.
I agree.
I
think we need to see some calendars from Otterville for sales. Some of those schools that are doing it now. See what their calendars look like.
They're on the survey.
The visitor
Did you not
schools
get it?
are.
I never got to service.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have a
I didn't see no calendar.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't see that. I don't know. Kids in school.
Right.
It had like Otterville, I think, for sales and somebody
Warsaw.
else. You had to click on it.
Should click on it.
No, it's on your thing.
On this,
Oh, no, I'll send it to you. Survey ain't good.
I just.
You know, I'm kind of like the other board members. I like to kind of talk about this a little bit further. We actually just arrived at the school, so I wanted to sign off. But I think this is something we should continue to talk about rather than making a call tonight.
Okay. Sounds like a
I
plan.
don't see any calendars.
Here you go. Number
But
three.
anyway, I think that would be important to see those.
Number 3 at the top in the instructions there, Kelly. I'm gonna
Just
send it
zero.
to you right here. Just so you have it while we're talking about it. Things to consider, and then it gets down number 3. It says.
Well, I mean,
service
regardless
link.
of Warsaw schedule or Otterville or Boston or whoever it is, we're not in a position to make a decision anyway. So
Do you guys
just
want to
food
hear?
for thought.
Do you guys want to hear from faculty and staff if they wish to speak, like in January?
Yes, Coach Duke, go ahead.
You know, I appreciate the sports comment, and I had signed up to speak, so, you guys can tell me, comment period. But the concern for me, when I've heard about 40 school weeks in the past, is what about the students who rely on school to that to me is far and away. Academics are great, sports are great, but some kids literally rely on school to be fed.
Well,
So
not just to be fed, but to feel safe.
to feel safe,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So those questions, at least for me as a parent in the district, would probably be at the top of the list for me.
I did see a few of those in the comments, in the survey, that there were several worried about that.
Right.
I mean,
There's a lot of good responses there.
I guess the big thing, or one of the things I've seen was routine. We get, I think, I'm not a college educated person by no means, but I feel like we're a lot of creatures of habit. We get in a routine, and Ashley and Jason could probably say this the best. You hit Thanksgiving, like releasing the animals to bring them back after Thanksgiving is almost like retraining puppy. Not that Taylor's kids are, but getting them back in that routine. I don't know how. My question is, if we go from 2-day weekend, we talk about Mondays are a drag. But if we go to a 3-day weekend, is it going to be harder to get those kids, especially elementary, to reset to, all right, it's time to back to learning, and then we have, I kind of say sometimes Monday's a half and half battle of what I get accomplished myself, let alone with a bunch of kids. If we go to a 4-day week, are we losing half a Tuesday already because we're trying to get them back from 3.5 days? And I'm not an educator, so.
You don't have to be.
and I just don't like it to do. Nothing productive. I'm not for or against it either.
I mean, I think we just gather some more research. If there's some teachers that want to come in and talk, by all means, have them come in. I mean, it's kind of who you need to listen to everyone. You just can't listen to a few people. That's just my opinion.
You guys want a time for January for the faculty and staff?
Give staff time.
Yep, got it.
Okay, so moving on. We're at B, correct?
We
Didn't
are.
skip anything.
Nope.
All right, we're at B. Just a resolution calling the bond election. It's the language that has to be, the motion needs to be made and the language has to be read verbatim. I think it's printed off in front of you as well. Don't want to read it off the screen, or if you can't see it, like me.
That's the same language we used last time. It's gone through our legal counsel. It's ready to go.
Those who needs a motion. I make a motion to declare the Board of Education finds it necessary and hereby declares its intent to borrow $4 million for the purpose of constructing and equipping a multi-purpose student activities building, which will include a full-size basketball court, a weight room, and indoor turf area for marching bands, sports practices, and physical education classes. And to evidence such borrowing by the issuance of general obligation bonds of the district in the amount of $4 million. Motion by myself, seconded by Amanda, all in favor? Or
Next one is you have the 50-cent tax levy increase we talked about last time.
this will require the same.
The motion. Second.
Which one will be on the ballot first?
I don't know.
Can we choose that?
Should it
I
matter?
don't know.
Is the better question.
Should not.
I mean,
I don't know. We usually send those out. I don't think we've ever had two at the same time, so I don't know where that'll end up. They send us a sample ballot. Is there a preference? I might be able to talk. We've got 3 counties we deal with, so I can ask them if they could put it in whatever order you'd like, but I don't know if they have any requirements. They probably do. I'm not sure. But if you had a preference, what would it be? You want the levy first and then the bond, or you want the bond and then the levy? Find out.
me personally, it doesn't matter to me. How do you?
I made it too big.
So I've got a dumb question before we go further. Why does it have to be a motion for a special election for the levy? Where the other ones? That's what's wrote here.
That is what they gave us from legal counsel there.
I didn't know if there's something different between the levy and the bond that I didn't know. I'm just curious
It may
because
just
this one
be the
just says,
legal. Yeah, it may just.
I
be
make a
the legal.
motion to declare election, so I didn't know.
That is what legal counsel gave me. So, Dr. Rob's not the lawyer. So
No, I didn't know if there
Yeah,
was
I don't
any.
know. I follow what they tell me on that script stuff.
I make a motion to declare a special election and hereby order to be held in the Tipton R6 school district concurrently with the general municipal election on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 on the following question. Shall the Board of Education of the Tipton R6 school district be authorized to increase the operating levy, tax levy by 50 cents per $100 of assessed valuation to maintain teacher salaries at a competitive and comparable level to school districts of similar size in Missouri? If the question is approved, the adjusted operating levy ceiling of the district is estimated to be $3.4671 for $100 of assessed valuation.
So we got a motion by Derek,
I'll second it.
seconded by Amanda. All in favor? 4-0. Moving on, new business. There's a bid there for the heating and cooling. This is out of the field house.
2 machines out there. We did talk to another local company. We did post it. We did put it in the paper. We got one back. Butzer does all of our, it even did the big project, did a lot of stuff with the big project, and still repairs things that come up now. I think it's a competitive bid. We just didn't get a lot of bids. I'm a little concerned is if we don't get that fixed, we may have some more busted pipes in there if we can't fix or repair daily right now. And Bob's concerned that we could have some busted pipes if we don't get it in there again. Which Coach Duke, I think, sent me some pictures one time with water coming down from the ceiling. We took care of that. Insurance took care of that for us, but I think it's time. I think those units are over 20 years old and they're not getting parts for them. So it's in our budget for $25,000 and we're right at it. That bid. Motion to approve it.
Does anybody have any questions?
For $23,822.
Are you looking at getting bids for the ag building?
We haven't done the ag building yet because they are still up and running. They're not in the budget this year, Kelly, but it's something that's on our radar. They've been, we did, we went back in and just had them repaired, but they would probably be the next ones on the list, possibly next year.
Wasn't something wrong with the cafeteria last time we talked about?
It was, and they repaired that. It looked like we were going to have a whole new unit, but they were actually able to do something short of that. And I can't remember what that repair bill came in. It had several repair bills coming in, so I can look that up for you later.
That was one of the new units?
Was one of the new units. They had a catastrophic failure of the compressor. The warranty covered that, and we just were subject to the labor to put a new compressor on. So it was a lot less. It wasn't $30,000. It might have been 3 or 4, somewhere in there. It was a good day for a repair if you're going to have one, rather than replace a whole new unit. And Butzer was the one that worked that deal because they went after the warranty for us and did a really good job. So I really like working with that company, and so does Bob.
I'll make a motion to accept the proposed bid for the new heating and air conditioning in the field house.
Got a motion by Amanda, seconded by Kelly, all in favor. 4-0, Amy. Moving on, we've got
Chromebooks.
Chromebooks, yeah. All the bids were there in front of you. Questions, now's the time to ask.
I'm going to recommend approval of SHI's bid. It's kind of in the middle there, but you're getting about 15 more Chromebooks there, which I feel like we eat them daily. It's kind of like a vitamins and minerals thing. We got to make sure we've got them in their hands. We truly are one-to-one. And these would give us some updated books, Chromebooks, and we've had a lot of screens and keyboards. We have some repairs that happen that I don't think are due to kids just slamming them down because they really need them for class. So kind of a new, along with your big chief notepad and your backpack, you got to have a, some people know what I'm talking about,
So the
right?
lowest bid from CDWG,
Yes,
that doesn't include the extra 15 Chromebooks?
does not.
Okay.
Those are just for 50 and 50 a piece. And what you're getting, what I broke it down to is what you're paying each for. These things at one point were about $200 a piece, guys. This kind of shows you our technology costs are almost double, you know, what we've seen in the past. So I think we need to grab these at $384. So we're not paying $500 or $454 a piece. Plus you're getting the bumper pads on them as well. So it's not just a Chromebook, but you're getting a little more. You're getting the cover and everything. Yeah.
But they have like a maintenance and support.
Yep.
All bids about the same on maintenance and support and warranty.
Mm-hmm. I just say that Ms. Lawson, our media specialist, does a very good job getting those cycled out and in kids' hands and just get out of her way and let her do it. I don't know how it all happens, but it's magic.
Heartland deal.
Say it again.
Is Heartland deal Midwest?
Yes. Yep. Heartland Business Systems is now Old Midwest. And they did assist us with getting all these bids, and they put their best one forward. SHI and CWG do tend to do better than them. I don't think it's on purpose. They're just big companies that buy in huge bulk, and that's kind of been their ability to do that. And they're both good companies.
Anybody have any questions? Dan, does this put us on like a rotation? Like, are we gonna need 65 every year, or do you know?
It just kind of depends on like the rotation of when the like servicing is done with them. So like we ended up getting an extra year on our latest devices so that we were able to keep them around a little longer, which is why we didn't get devices at the end of last year. So I wouldn't say 60, I don't know, maybe 65, maybe 40, maybe 30. It just kind of depends on the wear and tear of them throughout the year. And like we have a batch right now that seems like the mouse pad on them wear out quicker. So sometimes it's easier to buy a device than to replace the keyboard, you know, when it only has a couple years left anyway.
The only question. And this is already in the budget.
This is in the budget for $25,000 is what it's in there for. The budget you've already passed, so correct. You're not coming up with extra money at this point.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept SHI's bid for $24,960.65 for 65 Chromebooks.
Second.
Our motion was made by me, seconded by Derek. All in favor? 408.
Thank you, guys.
All right, that concludes the open session. I guess since Bo's gone, I'll move this into closed session. I'll make the closed section. What do you got?
I don't know, I mean, I see several people out there. Did any of you all come to talk about the, I know Dr. Rob said parents. Do any of you staff have anything to say about the 4-day week?
I just wanted to come hear what parents thought. That's why I came. I have my own opinion, but I don't have any kids in school anymore, so it's just be my professional opinion. But that's why I came. I'm disappointed, honestly. Maybe maybe parents don't care. I don't know. If you send out surveys, then that gave you some input.
Well, I know Dr. Rob said parents, and I want to make sure if any staff had anything they wanted to say, they had the opportunity.
That's right.
Well, I know, but maybe they can't make it in January. They're here now.
Can we ask what the surveys resulted in?
In my opinion, from what I've seen, it looked like everybody was about on the fence, the same. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, is that what you all seen?
Well, it asked if I wanted to continue on the same schedule, and it was like 47% yes and 40% no, and then the rest undecided.
There was no figures.
Would you prefer a 4-day week?
That would no, which would you prefer to stay on the schedule we're already on?
There's one question there that asks them.
Says, do you support a 4-day week?
Right.
And 49% put no and 40% put yes.
That's a parent.
That's where I think you gotta come back with your own calendar, let them see it. They're visual learners.
Oh, and then on the, if you wanted to stay on the current type of schedule, was 61% yes and 38%.
Several teachers want to have times too.
I think a lot of parents
Like,
do
is
too.
it 7 to
That was a lot of
5
the
or
responses
is it
in here,
7:55 to
and I don't think a lot of parents
3:25?
want to lose spring breaks, and I think there's ways around that, you know.
I don't know why they were thinking that. We're still doing the same amount of minutes per week.
So, yeah.
I don't think it was gonna be a longer school year. I mean, I know spring breaks may look a little different, maybe 4-day weekend versus 5 or 6 days. But Christmas break.
All right, well,
Nathan, if you'd like those results, I can send them to you.
I was just curious, because like I said, we're neighboring districts, and so a lot of the stuff that you all do affects our district. We have kids going back and forth. We're also considering it. So I just wanted to, like I said, we have kids coming from us from 8th grade to you all. So anytime you all change anything, it's going to affect us dramatically. So I want to be able to talk to our board and talk to our kids and parents about how it might affect them. So
Latham is on it, right? Is it?
Latham is,
already
yeah.
on it. They're off Mondays. Somebody put in there on the survey that they were all on a Friday. What district is that? Anybody see that? I don't know any schools that
Every
are
school
on
that
that.
I know of does Mondays. I know Bunston, Otterville, or
Fails. Is there anybody in our conference right now, our new conference?
whenever we did our surveys, we got people back. Biggest thing about the Fridays, a lot of parents and people are off on Fridays already. So what it took the childcare piece out of the equation. A lot of county, a lot of state, a lot of all my brothers off on Fridays. So that's why people, whenever I talk to them, they prefer the Friday as opposed to the Monday, because you do have a few of those Monday holidays, but the county, state, everybody on the modified schedule already prefer the Friday. But I know that gets into football Fridays. What about,
Put Steve on it. You were on Mondays, right? Where you were at?
It was originally designed by Lathrop as the first school district here, and they chose Mondays so that not to affect athletic schedules on Fridays, because we all do, we want to have the same routine on Fridays. And Mondays are used.
And there's a lot of Facebook conversation, local support for.
Nathan, I sent those to you just now.
all right, well, I'll make a motion to move into closed session and pursue in compliance with 610.021 to discuss bullet points 3 and 13 to include the Board of Education, administrators. And that's all I need.
thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
So motion by me, second by Kelly. Kelly?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Derek? Yes. Myself, yes.
Short call.